Hi everyone. Today we're going to talk about not just, we've already addressed suicide, but I got a question from Crystal who wanted to know about the do not resuscitate thing. Is that suicide? Is that, taking your own life? First of all, you have to look at suicide from your religious beliefs, not your faith, your religious beliefs, what you've been taught. If that's what you believe, that you're going to go to hell if you commit suicide, if you're going to go to hell if you allow yourself to die before it's, quote, natural time, which we'll get to that in a minute, what natural time is, then that's what you're going to believe when you cross over. And that's what you're going to see when you cross over. For me personally, my view of what God expects of us, what we should be doing, if you're suffering, this is first and foremost, God does not want you to suffer. God wants you to make good choices. He wants you to make the best choices you can make with what you have in your life. And if you don't have enough information in your life, then you need to go learn more information. You need to get more information. The do not resuscitate thing is a fine line. I found that with my family when my father was very ill. And for some reason, I think he knew his time was coming before we even knew, because he had said to me that if he had a heart attack while he was sick, he did not want to be saved. Now, I don't know if he was saying that at that moment, if that's how he felt at that moment, if he could have recovered, the world might have been different, his life might have been different, his thoughts might have been different. But when someone's at the end of their life, why do you want them to suffer? Crystal mentioned that, my soul would grow stronger, if I could live and make, better choices and, be in the world. But what if all you would do is suffer? You truly have to look at the situation. How sick is the person? I mean, if they're going to if somebody wants a do not resuscitate, it's not a suicide thing. It's a sympathy thing. It's I don't want to suffer anymore. And if all you're going to do is resuscitate me to be miserable, to have another heart attack or another situation where I'm in more pain or I could die, why would you want to stay there? And it's really hard to judge, which we should never do, but it's hard to think of how we would feel now as healthy human beings at that time if it came to in our lives to be that ill, to be that at that point of no return. When people get to that, usually the do not resuscitate thing is a family decision. It's not just the decision of the person who's ill. Usually it's their choice. But, it's kind of a family discussion. Is that really what you want? And what I find sad is when I volunteer at places such as hospice and in people's homes, not just at the facility. When they're getting ready to cross over and their family thinks they need some help, and understanding that, or the person crossing over thinks their family needs the help. When you're at that point to say, I don't want any extra means, because really that's what you're saying. I don't want any extra means taken to keep me alive. If I can't be alive and be a whole and healthy person, what is the point of being here? I'm taking up space. I'm causing suffering, not of myself, but of the people around me. And sometimes that's the lesson. The lesson is to learn when it's time to leave and when it's time to stay. So don't take that do not resuscitate thing as a suicide thing. It's not even close. It's ceasing suffering. And yes, that's what suicide is in a sense, but that is a totally different state. You know, people who commit suicide are not in their right mind. Rarely do you find someone who thumbs their nose at God and says, you don't exist and I'll show you, and commits suicide. That doesn't happen. That is actually the true sense of suicide. It's not just, quote, taking your life. It's defying the belief that there is something greater than you. So, don't put those two together. Don't put the do not resuscitate and suicide together. They don't belong together. Leave the do not resuscitate aside. And that is, rare. Not everybody does a DNR. Not everybody says do not resuscitate. And usually when they do, they're done. They've done everything they could possibly do. The medical community has done everything they can possibly do to keep this person alive, to give this person a quality of life. Because, God didn't send you here to suffer. God did not send you here to be miserable. He sent you here to be happy, to live life and enjoy life and make a contribution to society. And when you're lying in bed with no chance of survival, what are you contributing to? You're not. And your soul would know that. And your soul would be like, okay, we're done. We're out of here. Don't be sticking those paddles on me and waking me up again. I'm just going. I'm disconnecting. I'm not staying. Because there's no purpose in it. And I think I hit on everything. My point is just don't think what you think now is not what you're going to think the moment you die, or the time you're in a situation where your life is ending. You think totally differently then. Some people get scared, and I think that's the scaredness of the people who won't let go, who won't say, okay, it's time. Because your soul's going to know. Your soul's going to be saying, come on, let's get out of here. It's your physical self that would keep you here, not your soul. So don't get those two confused. Your soul would be like, okay, time's up. Let's go. We've done everything we can here, and there is no reason for you to still be here. All you're doing is prolonging suffering. And that is the one thing you do not want to do in this world. You do not want to cause suffering. And I hope that helped. I hope that answered your question, and I look forward to many more questions. Ciao.